Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. It is truly another wonderful Wednesday. It's indeed a blessed day, and I'm honored to be able to start our discussion off talking about education as we focus on overseas scholarships. Dr. Shari Smith will be our guest, and we're not going to promise you that we're going to solve the world's problems, but we're going to discuss lunch and dessert and get all the things on the plate. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. And we invite you to call and share your thoughts if you so choose. But if you want to listen along and just maybe get informed, please do the same. Now, our intention is to provide some food for the soul, to nourish the brain, to inspire the ambition, to encourage all of us to look very closely at continuing our tertiary studies. As we're speaking to Dr. Shari Smith and talking about the application process for overseas scholarships, I hope that people appreciate that. I think learning, knowledge acquisition, and sharing is something that we should do, not just because we hear it said be lifelong learners, but the idea that as we encourage and nurture our children, we ourselves might want to pursue that degree that we never thought was attainable because of family and job, or maybe it's another career sort of boost that we're looking for.
Yep.
So thank you for your time, on.
Thank you for having me.
It's amazing for those students, whether there's that graduating high school student, whether it's that person that's just been out of work for a while and getting the bearings, or whether it's that, I don't want to say the mature student because that may sound a little bit thing, but
mature.
but that's the term we use, right?
That's the term we use.
And who's saying, hey, you know what? I want to continue something that I started or had an interest in, and then to watch that person go through the process and to get to that point where they're now into school, they're nearing completion.
Yeah.
Man, it's amazing to see a journey come to fruition. But it has to start somewhere, right?
It has to start somewhere, and this is a great opportunity for Caymanians who are interested in pursuing their education and continuing their education in overseas universities or entities to get that chance and assistance with funding through a government scholarship. So.
Forgive me, and only because I'm as proud as you as if you were my own sister. But if she doesn't mind, you and I reference on another equally remarkable lady in our society. But with you first, you have PhD, right? That's
Psyche.
Yeah, I always get it wrong.
It's still a doctorate.
Yeah, doctorate in psychology. So it's
clinical psychology.
Yeah, PSY. When you see, I don't know. Okay, so I know that because the next date I'm going to reference is Dr. Alexandra Borden. Equally, right?
Yeah.
So with you have shared with us. You've done all your studies and then you're working towards your doctorate, and it wasn't a day, it wasn't a month, it wasn't a year, but it was a diligent, determined, very dedicated, disciplined approach to this. Yeah. And now here you are, right? It's worth it.
Definitely worth it. Worth it. I am definitely and humbly grateful to the Cayman Islands government because, when I started way back when,
I had to hear that.
Way back when. I was a recipient of a government scholarship, and that allowed me to pursue my dream to become a teacher. And then the journey started. So I think, like you said, it has to start somewhere. We know that education is very expensive. And so to be in a country where, financially, the government has made it a priority to assist young people and older persons who are interested in, continuing that education and that growth and investing in them. This is your chance, So we opened on the 15th of November. Our application is all online, and it is open until January the 31st.
Yep. And now, for people who understand, today's the 20th. You open on the 15th, right? That was a Friday.
Friday, yeah.
Today's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 3 business days. Only because of my apologies, my schedule. They couldn't get you on prior. Not that you didn't want to come on, right?
Yeah.
And I say that because of the dedication for you and your team to make sure the public is aware that this process is open. But I also wanted to, not to embarrass you, not just to celebrate publicly all the opportunities to champion education, but for those who are listening to, I like the way you said, way back when, to recognize that if we are willing to put in the work, the time to make, I don't even want to call it a sacrifice, because in the end it isn't really, it's just another stepping stone, right? To do that, they too, whether it's a PhD, maybe it's a bachelor's degree, maybe it's a technical certification that they've always wanted, that they can get there if they're willing to do it.
Yep.
And if they look to you as an example now, Dr. Alexandra Borden, I referenced prior, she is, very, very, not just incredibly intelligent. I mean, she's got degrees upon degrees and postgraduates, but she's humble like you. And her monthly show with us, Mental Health Matters, I think is instructive, informative. It gets people to start to appreciate how important health is in the mental. And here, we're already not quite towards the end of the year, but we're talking about next year's programming, what our shows will look like, how it's going to help people. That sort of dedication, that sort of respect for people, I think it speaks to not just an ethos that is inculcated into our society, but one that if we use you guys as an example, maybe we'll take a page and we'll pursue with the same level of enthusiasm. And I'm hopeful, man, that we can use you as an example and point to you all very publicly.
No problem.
No problem? Okay. Hey, we have to have our heroes, I like them to be people that we know, and if they're the women in our society, or daughters, or sisters, or mothers, and the like, hey, makes it that much easier, right?
Yep.
So this process.
So it's all online. Like I said, you can go to our website, which is www.education.gov.ky/scholarships. Go to the overseas link, and that takes you to the application page where you're going to create a password so that you can start your application. Now, this is actually now a year that I've been in charge of scholarships, and so I've had a year to kind of see, the pros and the cons and what the trends tend to be. One of the trends that we've seen is that persons like to wait until the last
Don't look at me.
to complete their application. Now, please don't do that, because the system is timed. I mean, we have 2.5 months, and the system will close out on the 31st when it hits.
So end of this year, December 31st. Is it
31st of January.
Okay.
Yeah.
January 31st? Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So the deadline is 31st of January?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, so they've got the remainder of November, all of December, all of January, right? But because you have all of those, remember now we're going into December, there are certain things that you're going to need to get. And Christmas and the holidays and stuff, so that kind of eliminates some of the time. But on our website, there is actually a couple of documents which I encourage people to please read. I would say 95% of the questions that we get or the issues that we have with applications could be well not even occur if persons utilize the documentations that are available there. We have online overseas application guidelines that Dr. Nicole Thompson, who's one of our senior admin persons, has spent a lot of time developing, and it is an actual step by step description of every single stage. There's 5 stages in the application process, and you can go on now and see that, so you know ahead of time what it is that you're going to need for each stage. There's also the checklist. So we've got a checklist for the application for overseas as well. So as you're going through, you can checklist what you need. There's some things that we know persons may not necessarily have, like, if you're still in high school, you're not going to have your final transcript. But, there is, you're in your final year, so we should at least be seeing the previous 2-3 years. Your references or something that someone might take a little bit more time to do, so that won't stop you from moving on. But the key thing is to get it started so that you can complete it in time and submit it. One of the things that two things that we're kind of doing different this year. One, we are asking people to keep an eye on their emails. Whatever email you create your account with, keep an eye on that, because we're going to utilize the emails a lot more to communicate with the applicant. So once an applicant submits their application form and it's downloaded and reviewed, you will get an alert from the system that says that once we transfer, if you meet all of the criteria to move you to the next stage, which would be the interview stage, you will get an alert from the system. So it's really important that students and applicants keep an eye on that, because that's how we're going to try and communicate with persons. We want to really work this year on cutting down the time of the approval process, right? But the process, we have to get through the process. So I want to also encourage persons to, because you have so much information on the system already on our website that tells you all the things that you need, if you have those documents and stuff, to go ahead and complete the application and submit it, because we want to start to be able to, once an application is submitted, we want to be able to start to review it so that we can start the interviewing process sooner. So Council has given us a deadline of when they want to be have completed reviewing and giving all the applicants who are eligible their conditional approval, and so we're working really hard towards making sure that we meet that. The other thing is that you're required to do a medical, but a lot of people wait to submit their stuff until their medical is completed. You do not need to wait to submit your application if your medical isn't completed. And the medical is costly, and we understand that. And so we've asked permission from Council to allow us to, once we have reviewed that person and they're moving to the interview stage, that we will, if we see that you haven't done your medical by that point, that we will notify you to say you need to do your medical and get it done. So we did, we had a few cases last year, unfortunately, who had completed their medicals and stuff, and unfortunately, when their final grades came in, they hadn't made the mark. So it isn't an expense.
That's the medical, irrespective of whether you work for government or not. That expense is on every applicant.
And every applicant, yeah. So we're just trying to kind of, minimize that if it doesn't need to happen. So that's also kind of put in place. But they still need to do the medical because it's very important, so that we make sure that everything is okay. And if there is something that comes up, that, we ensure that you seek the proper help. So, your medical is not going to keep you from getting a scholarship. But if anything, we make sure that you get the right medical help that you're going to need to support you when you're off in university.
Well, let's pause and take a break. When we come back, can we continue talking more about it? Asking the questions in relation to maybe the requirements, whether if you're going to be overseas, in a residence, or if it's even online, where does that fit in and the like?
No problem.
Maybe go over who qualifies, how you qualify, different things. Dr. Shari Smith joins us, talking about overseas scholarships. And if we can encourage you to continue your studies, well, listen, food for the soul. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Back by popular demand for November only. It's your sale, your choice at Vamp Motors. Vamp is making it easier than ever for you to drive home a real deal, where you can choose how much you'll save on your new vehicle and whether you want to get cash back or add-on upgrades to it. Save big on the new Ford Explorer, F-150, Edge, EcoSport, and Focus with up to $5,000 off select vehicles during our November sale. Get huge savings on the Toyota RAV4, Rush, and Fortuner as well. Best of all, you decide if you'll take the full discount, get cash back, or upgrade your new ride. It's your sale, your choice, but only during November. So come by Vamp Motors on Walker's Road, where your new SUV or truck is waiting for you to drive home.
This holiday, Logic is helping you mix and match. So whether it's reggae jingle bells or wearing plaid with Santa sweaters, anything goes. It's all about the freedom to choose, like mixing and matching your Logic services. The more you spend, the more you save. Plus, we're doubling our internet speeds, which means you're getting the island's fastest internet at up to 30% less than the competition. It's like Christmas all year round. Visit logic.ky to learn more. Terms and conditions apply.
Think about something that makes you happy. Did it make you smile? We know it did, because that's what we do at Sagicor. Put smiles on our clients' faces every day. With a large range of products to cover your family, it's no wonder most locals choose Sagicor for their life insurance needs. Serving the community for over 25 years. Let us put a smile on your face. Call your Sagicor advisor today.
Did you know that CPR Cayman is now a registered non-profit organization? The government is spending a lot of money on their campaign, so we need your help to get the word out to as many people as we can. You can make a donation via our website cprcayman.com or call us at 938-5876. This is our first people's initiated referendum for a decision that will affect everyone's future. It's your vote, your future. So make a decision based on fact. You deserve the whole truth.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037 or toll free with the kind compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-882-55. And if you want to ask your question or you want to do it as a voice note and use our WhatsApp, please do likewise, 925-3261. Dr. Shari Smith is our guest. We're talking about education and in particular applying for overseas scholarships. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me ask then. It would seem obvious that if you're applying for a scholarship overseas, then therefore you're overseas, no longer in Cayman.
Right.
But many of us use what they call distance learning. Mm-hmm. Back in the days when my sisters were young, we would call correspondence school. Mm-hmm. Now it's open university. So all the funding online. Yeah. So you're still here working, your family, but your courses and subjects and markings and then elsewhere. Would that consider as overseas scholarship, local scholarship? Where does that fit in?
So for the bachelor's degrees, those have to be overseas. Mm-hmm. Council doesn't tend to approve bachelor degrees that are online unless you have very extenuating circumstances, right? Mm-hmm. However, when you're starting to look at your master's programs and your PhD programs, a lot of them are now available online, mm-hmm. and persons usually who are pursuing at that level have jobs and families and so forth. So basically, once the institution that you're going to be attending is based outside of the Cayman Islands, it's considered overseas, right? So you need to make sure that that this would be the time period that you're looking at. Okay. The other thing, I know I had one question last week, I think, about someone asking whether if they haven't completed their bachelor's, can they apply? The time period that we are now receiving applications for are for persons who are looking at starting in September 2020 or January 2021. right? So you can, if you, you get approved and for some reason something doesn't work out for you to start September, and you can defer it and you're going to start in January. But this would be the time period now that you need to fill out and apply, so that we make sure that your stuff has been reviewed and you have that approval to start next year, September. So even if you're in university now, you're working on your degree, if you're graduating in January or May or June and you're intending to do your master's, then you need to be applying during this period.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying, because I think many of us, unfortunately, 9 months from now, is August, I think, if I did my math correctly, right? And if you're going off to U.S. universities, you're going to be there, or even Canadian universities, August, September. UK probably October-ish, mid-September. But that's tomorrow, in a sense. And you're telling us, get your applications in now.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're going overseas, if you're going to be doing your master's and doctorate online, or even online, some have a period of residence, and those still come under this overseas application.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because the school is based outside the Cayman Islands.
Yeah, and I appreciate you emphasizing that, because some of us think, well, I'm overseas. I still have to come to work every day. I still got my family to take care of. I will still be, living here in Cayman Brac or in East End. Right. But you're still not, you're overseas.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're online, please do that. And the application deadline is the end of January. I don't want to say next year. I want to say almost next month, because it's almost like next month, All right. So you only got a few times. The process itself, as you shared, it is online. There are certain, as you referenced before, if I recall now, stages. You got to do this. There's some stages you can come back to, but there's some you have to complete to move on, right? And then the medical, just repeating, is at the applicant's cost, irrespective of who your employer, whether you're for government or whichever. You may be able to get your employer to pay for it, but that's a cost that's going to come out of the pocket. It isn't tied to your insurance. Other requirements. What sort of things the applicant would need to provide?
Okay, so obviously there's academic requirements. So your final grades or exam results, and or if you're doing a postgraduate degree, then that first degree or second degree that you already have. We also have, obviously, this is a scholarship scheme that's geared towards Caymanians, so you have to demonstrate proof of being the right to be Caymanian. And we know that process can take some time to get that letter.
I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I will ask you about that if you don't mind, because before I ask, I'll put my view on it. But anyway, so Caymanians and whichever. Okay.
Right. So what we ask is that persons initiate that process, and we need basically proof that you have initiated that process. You put the application in, and so we know that it's in suite. So I think you have a form that you have to fill out and stuff like that. Okay. So you could actually, complete that form and ask when you go to hand it into the immigration, ask them to, give you some proof
that they received that you've applied for it. Okay.
And you could use that in the time along with your birth certificate and the other certificates that you're providing as support. And then that will then help us that when we're getting down the line and it's getting closer, if we still haven't received that official letter, that we can then try and help the applicant, whether it's contact immigration ourselves and say, hey, we've got these students. Can you please confirm that they are okay so that we can proceed with their scholarship, But you have to start the process. Don't delay.
Okay. For clarity, a person who is a permanent resident, so not Caymanian yet, whatever way we term that definition, Caymanian is Caymanian, but a permanent resident, is that person eligible?
You have to have that Cayman status.
Yeah. You're Caymanian by birth, by status, whatever, but Caymanian.
Yeah.
Okay, whether it's by law or otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay, and understandable so.
Yeah.
So now. Everybody needs to be given this letter by immigration. And the only reason why, and I say this because I find it to be something that we have to address.
Yeah.
When Dr. Steve Macfield shared that, he was asked to give this in order to get he said it publicly, sitting where you are, with his court, his what's it called, annual practicing certificate,
Right.
whatever it is. He thought, after 50 years, now you want this thing? For me, and this is probably offend some people, but it should.
Right.
That's offensive, because my voter ID, my passport, my birth certificate, my parents, but none of that is sufficient to say that I'm Caymanian. To go down and stand in immigration, get a stamp, that's egregious, right? But irrespective, you're saying everybody can need to get a...
Yeah, you have to demonstrate that you have that right. And I mean, unfortunately, because our Caymanian passport is not limited to only persons who have the right to be Caymanian, we cannot utilize your passport as a proof of evidence. Now, obviously, we ask for a birth certificate of the parent. So if you're a parent, both parents are a parent who is a Caymanian, you would attach their birth certificate and your birth certificate. So that shows us that there's definitely that lineage, right? We've been given allowance for it to utilize that. Where it gets a bit tricky is the ones who, those who have the status and stuff like that. Because I think there's just at a certain point, that child, I think when they turn 18, has to now take matters into their own hands. And we've seen situations, I haven't had one yet for local, at least. Well, I mean, for overseas, but I had a situation with a student who's locally on scholarship. And because of how our criteria and our policies are, and the university's policies, that their scholarship, you can actually risk your scholarship, because if you're not classified, for the better use of the word, as a Caymanian, then you're not eligible for a scholarship. So it's better to get the process started, no matter how much you don't want agree with it. No. Because I kind of feel the same way. But yeah, it's where we are in Cayman right now. It's one of the things. So And
thank you for that. And the reason, part of the reason, primarily for this discussion, is that what people understand that in and of itself is an administrative process that can take some time.
Yes.
So don't procrastinate.
Yeah.
If you're going to be applying, recognize that this is necessary. And like I said, if it offends some people, if they think I'm being whichever, well, too bad. Let's address it. It's an offensive, egregious thing that should be unnecessary, especially if you got your birth certificate, passport, your voter's ID. If none of those in and of itself substantiate you as Caymanian, something is seriously wrong. That is unfortunate and hasn't been sufficient addressed. That's one statement I'll say that may fall on some deaf ears, but hopefully not. Not to be overly offensive, but it is a process. So get it.
It's a process, and I mean you need to, it's important because, travel documents. I mean, for example, students who are looking at going to the UK, if they have a Cayman passport, they will require a student visa. So that is, again, another process that you have to go through. And that can take some time because they have to go through the various security checks and so forth. That takes time and all that. So, making sure that all of those documents are in place and in order is definitely key when you're starting this process, because it needs to be done, at some point.
All right, Dr. Shari, let's pause, take the final break of our discussion. Come back, you can recap, remind us of other things, perhaps share as you wish. We're talking about overseas scholarships, and if we can get you empowered and educated, informed, and being willing to make a meaningful contribution to our society in that way, well, we're going to give you the opportunity. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
I'm starting my shopping early this year. What you want for Christmas?
All I really want for Christmas is for my packages to arrive on time.
Plan ahead to get your shipments into Seaboard Marine on time and avoid the holiday rush.
Check out their great less-than-container shipment rates. Seaboard saves you time, money, and convenience with consolidation and repacking options available. Take a load off Santa this holiday season. Shop, ship, and save on your small packages with Seaboard Marine. Give us a call at 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com/grand-cayman for quotes or additional details.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Ambitious, determined, beautiful, and unapologetically uncompromising. You have set the bar high. Now let High Fashion and Design Studio take you to the next level. Full service hair and nail salon carrying the top designer brands. Calvin Klein, 9 West. Shoes, clothing, accessories, quality dressmaking, tailoring, and custom design. High Fashion and Design Studio, located in Cayman Trade Center, 199 Eastern Avenue, across from Bananas Restaurant. Call 945-4415 to book your high fashion and design experience today. Be bold, be true, be you.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars. Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
This referendum is bigger than the port itself. This is going to teach our people that, yes, we can make decisions. We can stop roads from being closed. We can stop markets from being developed. We can get jobs. We can be trained. Never again will we be second-class citizens in our own country begging at the doors of the NAU. I implore you to come out and vote in this referendum. We can change our circumstances forever.
The referendum for the cruise berthing and cargo facility is on the 19th of December. Will you be traveling or overseas on referendum day? You can still cast your vote by postal ballot. The deadline for postal ballot applications is December 7th. For more information about how to apply, visit www.elections.ky and get set to vote.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us, and thanks for not just only listening and sharing, but hopefully being able to use this information for yourselves to share with your spouse, your children, your co-workers, anyone who you've been encouraging or know has been considering, applying for an overseas scholarship to continue their, sort of trajectory on getting further education. Dr. Shari Smith, honestly, thank you to you and your team, but to you specifically for coming and sharing with us. Sometimes many of us hear this information and we, I know about that. Oh, that's not till next year. And we, sadly, will ignore it. But January 31st isn't that long from now.
Nope.
So that's the deadline for the receipt online for the overseas scholarships. So it's all online.
All online. We do not accept any hard copies or application forms. It's an online process. You go in and you fill out the information online. If you are having difficulties, please contact us at the Scholarship Secretariat. And I'm going to give you the number if I can find it. Either give us a call or send us an email. But I mean, we had last year, we had parents who had difficulty uploading the documents to the system. And so, they came in and, I have an awesome group of ladies who are, work diligently in the office, and, we're willing to help and assist persons who need that help. But we need people to get started and support. I mean, I went onto the system today, and I think we had about 65 applications in stage 1, and I had 2 applications who had already made it to stage 5. So, we want people to, we just kind of opened up, but we want people to start to put their stuff together and get going.
For what it's worth, I mean, I say this from observing, as a parent, and as other students, and as friends tell me that their children are doing it. The process is possible. It is easy. It's not that cumbersome. But honestly, you and your team are phenomenal. You're incredibly helpful. I had an occasion where I sent an email saying, okay, I think it is okay, but me being me, I just want to make sure.
Right.
Can you share with me whichever? And the response from your team has been phenomenal. It's not just reassuring.
Right.
It's helpful to guide. I say that because if we allow our students or children to take initiative, take ownership, it makes it more manageable for us, but it also makes it important for them.
Yeah.
And they can do it, man. And,
I mean, it's a great opportunity. If you want it, you have to obviously apply for it. And, I've heard all kinds of excuses. I didn't have time, or I was, doing things. And I'm like, or, they'll send in the form gets uploaded that's not what it's supposed to be. I mean, the guidelines, if you have any questions, go through those guidelines. There's no way that you can go through those guidelines and not know what you need to do.
Right.
Otherwise, it's kind of like, we were talking just now about, passports. If I go to the passport office with my form and my form is in the wrong color ink, they are not accepting my application, right? And this is something that I am paying to get. You are applying to the Cayman Islands government for funding, and the funding is 20,000 Cayman dollars per annum for a period of 3 to 4 years. And you don't have to, the only way you pay that back is that when we ask that the intention is for you to return to the islands and obviously work and, share your knowledge and so forth with. But if you don't have the time to put into this application to receive that, then I'm not really sure, if you're ready to go off to university. But, we want people to take it. It's a very serious process. It's not complicated. We've got help in our, the ladies in the office. We are happy to help you. We also encourage parents to allow the students to take the initiative and to take this in control, because this is basically their first step of what they're going to have to do when they go to university and so forth. So it's really important that the students take the lead on this. And one part that I would say to students when you're getting ready to fill out and before filling out is thinking about your personal statement. That is really how you introduce yourself to the review panel and say, who you are and what you've done and why you want to study what you want to study. And it's the beginning of how many times throughout university you're going to have to do that. So it's, it needs, take some time and think about it and put it together. Don't just write, I'm a Caymanian and I want to go away to school.
Yeah, unless you put on a West Bay, then you gotta put more
we need a
information.
little bit more than that.
No, but we joke and jest, and it's just wonderful that you are willing to come to share this with us, because you said we're not paying for this in that sense. We're applying for funding for our own benefit, but it's on the benefit of the country. But we need to do something, and we need to be deliberate in the thing we do.
No.
So
it's a big decision. It's a big responsibility. And it's a awesome honor and privilege to be able to access something like that. So we need to approach it that way as well.
Very serious, very deliberate. Now, with that, the idea that we're going through this process, each stage, you complete, you move on. For a person that wanted to say, well, what am I going to need? How is it going to work? I think of my own self. I like to have a print off or something so I can go through and it's a checklist. We can do that with this process even before we go through it, right?
You can, because you can go and actually print off of our website the guidelines, which will tell you everything, or the checklist, and it will tell you what you have to do, what you need for all the different sections. The actual application form is one page that you, when you finish stage 1, I think you print that off, you sign it, and then you upload that back up to the system. So there's things that you'll print off and then re-upload. But for your step-by-step, like what do I need now, what I need next, the guidelines is your go-to there.
Okay. Well, if it's appropriate, if it's of any use, whether to you, to any member of your team, collectively, in person or by phone, please use our airwaves here to remind people. No, I mean that seriously. Now we'll also, we also talk about the local scholarships down the road. But maybe in closing, if you're going to be studying overseas physically, and for bachelor's onwards, or if you're online, which is your master's and postgraduate, doctorate, and like, those are all have to be.
This is the time.
This is over there. So the end of January next year is the deadline. All right. Any quick final thoughts you want to share with us, Dr. Shari?
Just, for those who are ready to do it, let's get to it. And we will be visiting the various schools over the next couple of weeks, and Kim and Brack in early January. So, we'll be out to schools as well. So if you have questions and so forth. But I encourage people to go on now and, start to navigate with the system and stuff. Also, if you're on the system and you're having issues, give us a call into the Scholarship Secretariat, 244-2417, and we will try and navigate that.
All right. Well, I like how Mr. Bill used to talk about, how his boat get her done.
Get her done.
So go right ahead and get those applications. Dr. Shari, please enjoy the rest of your day and a very safe and productive week.
You too, sir.
All right. To our listeners, we're going to pause and take a break. When we come back, we invite you to join us. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man.
It's only 2 species that we have, on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news. Access and information.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
The Department of Environmental Health, DEH, has commenced its annual bulk waste removal activity in the Eastern District and will conclude in West Bay on December 20th. DEH advises the public to place bulk waste on the curbside before the district's scheduled collection date. Place bulk waste in an area that is easily accessible to DEH collection crews and does not obstruct the roadway. DEH will not collect any items that are put out after scheduled dates. For a look at the DEH bulk waste removal schedule or more information, you can visit the DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky. In news elsewhere, the House Intelligence Committee has concluded a 5-hour hearing with 2 former Trump administration officials. Kurt Volker, the former U.S. Special Envoy to Ukraine, and Tim Morrison, a former Deputy National Security Advisor, both testified that they did not believe U.S. President Donald Trump had engaged in a quid pro quo linking military aid to Ukraine with the investigation of Joe Biden. But Volker spoke up for Biden in Tuesday's impeachment hearing, rejecting conspiracy theories embraced by Trump and some of his allies. Volker said he has known Biden as an honorable man for more than 2 decades. Israel says it has hit dozens of targets in Syria belonging to the government and allied Iranian forces. The Israeli military says the wide-scale strikes responded to rockets fired by an Iranian unit into Israel. Syria says 2 civilians died and that Syrian air defenses shot down most of the missiles over Damascus. Other reports say the death toll was higher. Local reports said loud explosions were heard in the capital. Pictures on social media showed a number of fires. Those are your latest updates here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
This is JJ the Iceman. This is JJ the Iceman.
Weeknights on Radio Cayman, 8 to 10. Music on Express. Friday nights, 8 to midnight.
Music Express.
Radio Cayman's Music Express is brought to you by Taster's Choice, home of the $3 meal special.
Put a brand new 2020 Chevrolet Equinox Premier under your tree this Christmas and enjoy the most equipped SUV in its class with foot sensor liftgate, four-wheel drive, panoramic sunroof, ventilated leather seats, wireless phone charge, parking assist, front collision sensor, rear vision camera, remote vehicle start, and a 1.5-liter turbo engine. Whew. And the best part is, buy now and pay nothing until next year. Visit the showroom on Owen Roberts Drive for a test drive or visit advancedchevrolet.com to start enjoying your Christmas early.
The government claims the cruise berthing facility won't cost us a penny. It will be paid for by the cruise passenger who use it, not by our people or our government.
The fact is, you will be paying. Because government is going to give the consortium development team, led by Royal Caribbean and Carnival, a portion of the cruise revenue that is currently being banked by government. What's more, we will be repaying them
$450 million.
$250 million more
than what the facility even costs.
It's your vote, your future. So make a decision based on fact.
You deserve the whole truth.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Did you know that once properly sanitized, some tinned food items may still be safe for consumption after coming in contact with floodwater? In order to properly sanitize these tins, always remove labels, and then wash tins in a strong detergent solution using a brush to get rid of excess impurities. Tins must then be immersed in a solution made of 2 tablespoons of chlorine bleach per gallon of water for 10 minutes. Ensure that containers are air dried before opening. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit the DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Please forgive me. I would want to say it was too much ice cream, cheese, and other dairy products, but that's not true. I've just been laughing and having too much fun. So I think Miss Susan has been baking so diligently recently, sharing all the goods in the studio with her colleagues. Maybe it's Christmas time, you get to eat a lot around here. Mm-hmm. I'm honored, though, to be able to be joined by our friends from DCFS as we talk about, Universal Children's Day. And between the two of us, my good friend, maybe we'll be able to feel worthy of the company of these intelligent, truly industrious ladies. Right, Mr. Colvin?
That's correct.
That's correct? All right. But you help me to guide and make sure. Well, Miss Marjorie Whitaker, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
And congratulations for making it through another day working in the civil service.
Thank you.
It's always challenging. Now, Ms. Nicole Quinlan, especially good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. Thank you for having us.
Would you be so gracious as to help us to take the lead? Not only because of the position that you occupy within the department, but because of who you are and that wonderful, incredible, and daring spirit of leading and managing and ensuring that our team is constantly nurtured but inspired equally. And the notion that we get to celebrate Universal, Children's Day, just in and of itself, makes you appreciate how important the children are, not just today, but those future children in 6 months' time who, God's willing, will have birth into a world that is loving and appreciative. But in 60 years' time, when those children are rocking their own grandchildren, as it were. You got to think about these things, I mean,
that is true.
Hopefully I'll be there to see all that happens.
Grandchildren on the way.
Not yet.
In the future.
Future healthy grandchildren, there we go.
Yes.
But Universal Children's Day, in particular in the 5K walk,
yes.
Nicole?
So the Universal Children's Day was established in 1954, and it was to celebrate the awareness amongst children worldwide and improving children's welfare. Mm-hmm. The Department of Children and Family Services, this is the third year in which we're celebrating it, and we'd like to encourage all of Cayman to be a part of this. That being said, on Sunday we have a walk run.
Mm-hmm. This Sunday
coming.
And I think walk runs provide an opportunity for families in particular. Not just that budding athlete or that competitive individual who is using it as a preparation, but for families, the morning air in particular, that especially this time of year, it's still a little bit dark.
Christmas breeze.
But it's a nice little chill in the air. Kind of nice, Mr. Calvin. What do you think?
Yes, definitely enjoying it.
You enjoying it?
For sure.
Yeah, man, makes your hair grow. So they tell me. I'm still waiting for the half in. But the walk run, Ms. Whitaker, from the idea of coming out and celebrating, but also being mindful that it's to embody within our communities the value and the respect that we should have for our children. On Monday morning, I had the honor to sit in for Mr. O.C. for the record, and your deputy director, together with one of your colleagues, they were sitting with us, and to share and to celebrate the idea that we're looking at this more than just a walk run. But sometimes, like the meal at the table, the morning walk, the physical exercise, the chance to chat outside of that normal setting someone would have.
Well, you see, the theme for this year is I Have a Voice, Hear Me Roar. And we really want to highlight that our children have a voice, and we want to move away from this idea that children should only be seen and not heard. Mm-hmm. Because nowadays, I mean, we see it every day. Children really know what they want. They will tell you what they want, even if you don't want to hear it. They will say it to you. A lot of our children may not say it to you verbally, but with their behavior, their personalities. Some of our children are more artistic. Some of them are more athletic. They have so many different ways in expressing how they feel, what they want. And we want children's voice to be heard. So like the theme says, hear me roar. Children roar in so many different ways. And with this walk run, we also want to get the community involved, in supporting the children. It's not only a matter of you coming to drop your child at the walk race and you stay in your car waiting for the child to finish. We want the entire family to be involved in this walk race. We want the entire community to be out there. Children need to know that they have a huge support system behind them, supporting them in every step of the way.
It's something, Calvin, from that perspective, we see studies increasingly that point to the success of the child being very much linked to the participation of the parent. Not just, as Ms. Whitaker shared, not just taking them and leaving them in a safe, nurturing environment. Okay, that's great. That's what we hopefully happens all the time. But actually staying and working with them. I think in the walk run, you get a chance to, like the dinner table, perhaps even better than the dinner table, you can have a chat. You can even, depending on your relationship and the age and stage of you and your child, you can say, well, listen, let's have a little quick walk race and see who can get to the next, and build that level of interaction. Your perspective, as a man, and you think of your young child, for instance, as an older brother, as a male role model in that younger child. Sometimes, irrespective of whether it's a little girl or a little boy, they look at us as the trees, as the oaks, and the like. We don't break, but we'll bend.
I agree. It definitely gives families and parents an opportunity to lead by example, so that way you can go out there with your children and enjoy the event as an entire family unit.
Yeah, and I think too, Ms. Nicole.
No, and as you said, it is about, and also Miss Marjorie indicated, it's an opportunity for families to bond, to be together on a Sunday morning, enjoy the cool breeze, but also help to raise awareness to children's the plight of children in the Cayman Islands. Children are faced with so much more than we have been faced when we were growing up. The challenges that we had and they have now are two different things. And I think we, as adults, we tend to think, oh, they can get over it. It can't be that bad. However, we need to listen to them more and understand that the challenges that they face is so much more complex. And we need to sit down and really listen to them. And as you indicated, it may be through this walk, having an opportunity, no devices. We put away the phones, there's no TV, no iPad, nothing hindering you from actually having a conversation with the child next to you. And it is, if it's a child in a stroller, if it's a child that's running next to you or walking next to you, in my case, I'm going to skip the run part. Yeah. Yes, but it's about making sure that we talk to them and take a time to listen. And listening is not just hearing, but listening. Yeah. Taking the time to just listen. And don't talk, just listen.
Well, and I'm glad you shared that, because following the discussion Monday morning for the record, someone reached out to me and it was shared that sometimes the challenge with our children, or children specifically, the teachers can get it easier, the coaches can get it easier, sometimes the other family members can get it easier, but you, the parent, struggle with, how do I get my child to open up? How do I get my child to, when I ask, how was your day at school? The one word answer, good, fine, okay. And, well, what did you do? Nothing. And he shared
we did
that.
Math. We did English.
Yeah.
Done.
And he said, he heard the comment that when you get them to talk, sometimes the best way to talk is through an activity. And he was using that. Now, today is only Wednesday, right? And when I came on air, it was only midday. For some of us, that may be 4 or 5 hours that we've been up. For some of us, it might have been close to 6 or 8 hours, right? I won't share which one I fall into today. Just suffice it to say, I got to work on getting more sleep. But he shared, So this was Monday morning. So he only had 2 other mornings since then. In that short time, he was able to use some of those things. And, they would go for their morning walk. But instead of, making it an exercise and the little boy running next, well, a little boy, because I saw him, he's like 15 feet tall and, almost as old and probably 5,000 pounds and muscle.
Rugby player.
Yeah, big strapping young man, right? And at that age, who wants to talk to their dad who's probably like 3 feet tall, right? Or he's not 3 feet, he's 3 feet 4 inches with heels. Or he's going to say you're a friend. No, but he shared, you have this disparity. I mean, Mr. Duncan, you're muscular, tall fellow, right? And if your son is that much taller than you, sometimes, you catch him by his waist, you may not feel that connection, right? But he said they're out now, instead of just running separately. Thankfully they're both athletic and they can, unlike some of us, when you run, you can just concentrate on running, the breathing and the talking, you do one or the other. Right? But they're running and now they're having a conversation. And as they're running, not only he said did they run much longer, right? But they were talking about things that he was concerned, oh man, it's my son, and now in 2 days. So I share that to say that whether it's the run walk on Sunday morning or whether it's, over a game of dominoes, whatever that thing is. So, what do you think? I mean, fathers in particular sometimes are struggling to reach their sons for some reason,
Well, I agree with you, as you mentioned, that it's best to use different activities because sometimes just going at the issue, you'll get the one-word response and where you're wanting more of an explanation as to what actually took place. But I feel the more you engage them in activities, the more you'll get that bonding and the more they'll want to open up to you. Yeah. So that's what we're trying to offer with this walk run.
I hope, and I'll ask Ms. Nicole to chastise me if this is incorrect. I'll share this because I just realized he said this. They both will go running and they both will have their little things in their ears. No, I don't like that because you're not hear what's around you, and then secondly, I don't like things in my ears. I don't like these things on my ears. But he said he decided because he was the one that bought him for his son. He was the one that put him in because he's concentrating. He can focus on his run. Took out the things to the ears, and then his son said, well, take him out. And because of that one little gesture may have allowed an avenue to open up to talk. So the run walk on Sunday morning could be that thing where you take your young child, doesn't matter the age, and you do your thing. It's so important to talk, especially on a talk show.
Yes, as we said, it's about disconnecting from everything else. Yeah. As parents, as adults, we need to find every opportunity to engage children and have them tell us what's happening with them. Mm-hmm. For instance, in the morning, carrying my child to school, what we do is we talk. We conversate on whatever's happening in the day, whatever's happening on the radio, but just talking. And you know, traffic is quite tight in the morning. So it affords us a long conversation. I know you're in West Bay, but yeah, long conversation. So it's about making way. Yeah. Making that opportunity. And if it means deciding that around the dinner table, if you have that opportunity to do so, removing all the cell phones and everything else, right? So that you can have those conversations. And as I said before, listening, right? But Ms. Marjorie also pointed out, it's about having an opportunity to play. So if you're engaging in play, it's so often that, and there's play therapy. And what happens in play therapy is that your children are focused on something else, and they start talking and saying everything else that's happening, but it's not a direct conversation. And you get so much more out of people. It's that, it's the body language. It's everything else.
You know, and I think that's where increasingly, Marjorie, I'll ask of you. We probably, whether we are new parents or whether we are, you know, this is the child number 4. You know, blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. I wish I was smart. Well, I'll have 14. It takes 2, apparently. Not 2 eyes, okay? I just
no comment.
No comment. Hey, who knows? I mean, you know, I'll leave that for another time. But the idea that it's a challenge as a parent sometimes. You want to do the very best, and you're thinking of everything. And as I was looking more and more at our discussion for not just celebrating, you know, Universal Children's Day, but equally a walk around. Any and every opportunity that is positive, that is constructive, that is safe, that is healthy, that we can bring our children, sometimes literally take them with us, you know, especially when they're young enough. I mean, you know, you come in. That's just how it goes. But do it in a way that makes them part of it. For you, Ms. Marjorie, I mean, what do you think? This could be that?
Definitely. This is a good opportunity to have an opportunity to bond with your child. I mean, I remember growing up, my father, I was not the talkative one with him. So it would be very difficult for me to actually express to him how I felt or what I wanted, and especially in the home environment. So exercise was one of the ways in which he used to engage in that conversation. So he would, even if I didn't want to, as a teenager, he would tell me, you know what, let's go. After school, when my mom would come, or sometimes it would just be us, and he would take me out around. I remember Patrick Island when you were able to walk around peacefully in the afternoon, and we would just talk. And sometimes it didn't even have to be about a problem that was going on. He would probably start talking about nature, and then nature would lead into something else, and eventually he would get me to open up and tell him how I felt about certain things. So exercise and this run walking will be a great opportunity for you to do that with your child, regardless of the age, to be honest with you.
You know, thanks for that too, because I've been thinking of it, and we don't recognize, you know, how not just our children, we keep saying the children, but us as, and I realize I'm probably the oldest one here, even though I might not look it, but we as the adults, so consumed with our devices, so preoccupied with our jobs, our businesses, that yes, we're trying to be, as men in particular, the protector, the provider. We feel we have this responsibility. Maybe some of us are still raised in that sort of mindset. And as much as we think we're doing the very best and the very best thing at that time, that our child needs somebody to talk, or at least to be present. Your father was, you know, very wise in his choice in having an opportunity to afford you. But Mr. Duncan, sometimes, you know, we don't see that. We don't talk, we don't say nothing, we just stoic, we stand there. Come out, you know, Sunday morning, and maybe make this a renewed attempt at connecting with your children. Exactly. All right. From that, Mr. Cole, to register for the walk, How do we go about it?
Okay, so you should be able to register through Cayman Active. Mm-hmm. You have the option of paying online through Cayman Active, or also you're able to register today, which is actually Universal Children's Day today, at the government building, the main entrance from 12 noon to 4 p.m. So if you register through Cayman Active and you chose to pay later, today's the day that you will have that opportunity to go and pay and collect your shirt. You can also register today as well and collect your shirt. And for those individuals or those family members that were not able to have the time to go on Cayman Active or actually go to the government building today, on the day of the walk run, we will open registration for about 20 minutes for those late registration, and you should be able to collect your shirt there as well. So we will be there. The race starts at 6:30. We will open registration from 6 a.m. to 6:20 for late registration.
So it's both a 5K run and a walk as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, as many people use it as a training ground for other activities.
The marathon is coming up.
Which you're running, right? This time?
In spirit.
I told a friend I'll run, play football, but unless anyone chasing me, I'm not running.
But sorry.
Sorry.
Just to mention, registration is $15 for adults, and for children under 16 is only $5. So it's not much. We're trying to ensure that everyone gets an opportunity to be a part of it, and you get a free T-shirt with your registration.
And supporting, other families in the process.
Mm-hmm. There are also going to be prizes.
Lots of prizes.
Hopefully, some of us make it to the end, and you'll be entered into a raffle.
Yeah, man.
So excellent prizes.
Good bit to incentivize, and I think that's the wonderful part about the opportunities that our communities provide in this. And it's great to have friends who are from other jurisdictions to remind us that, okay, this is November, but where they're from, where they grew up, where they went to school, whether as a child in high school or whether as university later on, this time of year, and when February rolls around, even worse, they're not coming outside. I mean, it's blizzard cold, right? But yet we have it here, and for us, 6:30 in the morning this time of year, it's still nice and cool. It's a wonderful time of morning.
Agreed.
It really is beautiful. If you like mornings like that.
So 6 o'clock at Safe Haven, Sunday, the 24th of November.
All right. Now, Ms. Susan, we'll take a break in a little bit, but for those who are, who are sharing with us the notion that we are, working towards building our families, making them safer, stronger, healthier. It's a community initiative, and today is Universal Children's Day. Mm-hmm. If we've never heard of it, if we've never celebrated it, here's a chance to stop, take note, and just look within. Don't even look to your neighbor. Don't even look to your colleague. Just look within your own household. Your child may be 2 years old or 22, maybe just entering preschool or about to graduate university. Still your child. I mean,
will always be.
It would always be, and for those of us who have parents that are 80 and 90 and thereafter, they'll know. They'll still call you and, you okay? Did you guys have something to eat? You're always somebody's child,
Mm-hmm.
So it's never too late to, reestablish that bond, to enhance that bond, to express that love. Even if you can't say it, I love you, man.
And even if it's not biological.
You know where I'm going. Thank you. It's so true.
You can be a parent. It doesn't matter if the child is biologically yours or not. As you know, we're always on here for foster parenting, so we want to encourage that while we're here.
There you go.
Because it's Universal Children's Day, and children deserve an opportunity to family life.
Yeah.
Whether that be the biological family or extended family or just people in the community that have stepped forward and said, I will take care of you.
And the thing is that, as I reflect on this, and again, I'll defer to you for guidance, but we would hear, mostly in the North American politics, in the U.S. in particular, not long ago, in particular presidential campaigns, about the importance of family values. Mm-hmm. Less and less now we're hearing about it on the political stage, but it's so true. If we're not embracing the family, if we don't see the importance of the family being that central thing within our community, what transpires in the household is going to be evident in our streets, in our classrooms, in our businesses, when we're in line waiting to check out at the retailer place, whether we're buying food or something else. The same behavior is going to be evident.
Children learn from example. What they see at home, the home itself is the first mode of socialization. So what happens in the home comes out in society. It comes out when they go to school. It comes out when they're working. So we need to ensure that children have an opportunity to be heard, so that their voice can be heard, so that they can roar, as the theme is this year.
Should we sing that? I have a voice.
Respectfully.
Hear me roar. That's some more.
Maybe a little older for us.
No, but I just love people, and the laughter, the banter, the opportunity to fellowship, to commune together is so important. And I don't think that we avail ourselves of so much. Thankfully, you've made this run walk not just accessible in terms of its location, but affordable in terms of its pricing. But then what you've positioned in, if I may, a lot like our Abuse Fusion walk that we do, where we extend it to our communities. This is a great community. It's very charitable. It's very giving. But sometimes we like to, pretend that certain things don't happen, or they'll happen their way, elsewhere. Hey, listen, one child who's been insulted by is one child too many.
Exactly.
Who's been offended, who's been denied something that is of value, is one too many. We've got a small population, whether it's 60 or 100,000, as I say, it's still a small population. It's a football stadium of people.
It's a small population, but it has the same challenges as everywhere else.
Yes. And probably compounded too, because
everyone knows everyone else.
You know everything. Yeah. And what you don't know, you make up. Sorry.
Hopefully not. But yes, I think you're right. People tend to think that things don't happen in Cayman. A lot of things don't happen in Cayman. There's no domestic violence. There's no child abuse. There's no need for foster care. There's no need for adoption. But we do everything here. It's just a smaller scale.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Think of it this way. If it was you who were being denied something, who were delayed in getting something, how would you feel if it's something that you thought was necessary or that was absolutely necessary for you? Thankfully, it's not you, but there's somebody else. Can you help, so that person doesn't go without? Being a part of the walk run on Sunday morning may be twofold: a good exercise and a bonding opportunity, but it's a small contribution to helping somebody else be able to, benefit from something else.
Exactly.
Now, I know you have a lot on your plate, Ms. Nicole. We have a break to take. You have the option. You can say, listen, I had enough of that young man. I don't want to see him anymore. And you can say our goodbyes, or you can join us after the break. What would you like to do, Mom? You want to stay on and chat some more? Because I know you guys have a incredible, I don't know how you all do it, man. Social workers and the DCFS team, you find more than 24 hours in a day.
I think we create more than 24 hours in a day. There's always challenges. It would be a great opportunity to be able to stay on, but unfortunately, we do have other appointments this afternoon.
I don't know. Miss Susan reminded me of that. I just enjoy your company so much, and I think what you do is important. As a people, sometimes we don't really appreciate it because so much of what you do is not only sensitive, but very confidential.
And we do tend to be a bit quiet about all the things that we do.
As you should,
because it's confidential.
Yeah. But thank you for sharing with us as we celebrate today, Universal Children's Day. Maybe if it's acceptable, we'll ask if you choose Mr. Duncan, maybe some final thoughts. Then Ms. Whitaker, and then of course Ms. Nicole, if you want to give a quick reminder of the registration. But just Mr. Duncan, if you want to say or share anything, you've been inspired by that talk show host. I'm gonna go. Just
Sure. I just wanted to say thank you for having us on. We look forward to seeing the community out at the event. This will be a great opportunity for you to socialize with your children. This day and age, there's a lot of people who focus more on the electronics, and that provides somewhat of a disconnect when you get into the community. So we want to give you opportunities so that way you can build socialization among yourself as well as your family. So please come on out, support us.
I hope
support
so, man.
Cayman.
That's right, and our youth and loving our children, right, Ms. Whitaker?
Definitely. I mean, this is an event that we are hoping that we will be able to do it every year. But I mean, this is the first time that we're doing a walk race. And in order for this to continue, we need the support of the community. I mean, we need the entire community to be involved in this process. So I'm inviting everyone who is able to be there Sunday morning to show up. Bring your child, bring your neighbor, bring your pet, as long as it's a well-behaved pet on a leash. Has no problem with that. Children and bikes are acceptable as well. So there is no excuse for you not to be there.
I got a little land lizard. Might put him on a leash.
Hold him in your hand. The cost is really cheap. It's $15 for adults and $5 for children under 16. And not only the Department of Children and Family Services, but the children of Cayman, those that we serve, those that will be our future. This is about supporting them.
All right.
So we want to invite everyone out to the Children's Universal Children's Run Walk on Sunday.
Okay, let's see if you even. All right. And for
Safe haven
those
at 6 o'clock.
Right, you remind those who want to get registered, have until 4 p.m.
Yeah,
6 a.m. Yeah. 4 p.m. today to register if you want to pay by cash at the government admin building right next door to us here. If not,
Or
you can go online.
Cayman Active.
And 20 minutes before race on Sunday.
All right, 6 a.m. Sunday morning, Safe Haven. Well, listen, enjoy your afternoon. Make each day and each step in each day that much more positive and productive, enjoyable and safe. Always a pleasure to have you guys on. All right, tell listeners, let's pause and take a break. Guess what? If you call Susan, she'll answer. Well, maybe not. She might see your number and say, I don't want to talk to you. Try it and so see. All right, when we come back, more talk today.
The referendum for the cruise berthing and cargo facility is on the 19th of December. You can now visit the elections office at our new location at the Baytown Office Suites, 68 West Bay Road in Georgetown to apply in person for postal or mobile voting before the deadline on 7th December. For more information about voting in the referendum, visit www.elections.ky and get set to vote.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Pure Cleaners.
It's party time and Christmas time, so let Puritan Cleaners help you to be ready with 10% off prepay on all ladies and gents wearing apparel and household items. Same day and following day service. Regular price. Offer good until December 10th at all stores. Savannah, Countryside, 946-1884. Elgin Avenue, by Off the Peg, 949-2452. Eastern Avenue, rain or shine, 949-7104. Puritan Cleaners. You feel good when you look good.
As a Caymanian, it's very important to me that projects like this are thought of thoroughly before continuing.
My question is, do we need it? And I've not yet been fully convinced that we need it, nor have I been fully convinced that we don't need it. So
what guarantee do we have that these ships are going to continue to come?
Please make the right decision.
Please don't let the catchy songs overturn you. Please support the referendum. Please ensure that you are supporting sustainable tourism, not just money-making tourism.
If the project plans have changed, even though it might be insignificant on paper, it's going to be significant for the environment.
They need to release official information, official facts.
That's where I am right now. I want to know, I want more information on do we need it.
It's your vote, your future.
So make a decision based on fact.
You deserve the whole truth.
Ocean Med is open for appointments at Bayshore Mall. The only healthcare facility on island designed exclusively for women offers a wide range of radiology-based medical screening and diagnostic tests, such as mammograms and ultrasounds, with state-of-the-art technology, full OBGYN services, a complimentary healthcare coordinator, and a stunning facility equipped with calming, multi-sensory exam suites. Ocean Med is dedicated to providing competitively priced healthcare excellence to women in our community. Book your appointment today. Call 946-2326 or visit oceanmed.ky.
Starting November 1st to December 31st, you can earn double points every time you use your Fidelity credit or prepaid cards. That's not all. When you use your card on Black Friday or Cyber Monday, Fidelity's giving you triple points. That means you have a whole weekend to rack up 3 times the points for travel, merchandise, and more. And with added protection of instant text alerts, 90-day purchase protection, and chip and PIN technology, you can shop with confidence. Fidelity. We're good for you.
Radio Cayman has always worked to showcase the best of our sister islands of Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. From coverage of the agriculture shows, special Talk Today broadcasts, and church services. 4 years ago, we launched the Brac Breeze Fusion 5K Walk Run. In our inaugural year, we raised funds for the Harmony Learning Center. In year 2, for the Lions Club of Cayman Brac Kids Pantry. And last year, the So and So Club. This year, the Brac Breeze Fusion will be raising funds for the Leo's Club of Cayman Brac. To all of our Cayman Brac families, we invite you to join us on Saturday, November 30th at 6:30 a.m. Southside Public Beach. Step by step, we can do it.
Cayman Brac, yes, it is your turn. The Breeze Fusion 5K Walk Run.
Register today at District Administration.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. Let's have some open line. And I've invited my good colleague, Mr. Raymond Singh, to sit with us. I commend you and your colleagues in the sales department. Sort of in between all the other stuff that you guys do, from assisting your clients through production, to preparing the scripts, to doing all this stuff. You still find a couple of minutes, and glad for you chatting with me. I mean, the chair is there. It's always good, huh?
It's a privilege. How many people get to say that on they can take a 30-minute break and go jump on a radio talk show, and it works. This isn't work. This is not that it's not work. It is work for you.
No,
but it's fun.
Yeah. Well, I understand and appreciate what you're sharing. May I pick up on that for a second, though? The notion that, especially in Cayman, and with the greatest of respect to Caymanians specifically, I gotta repeat the words as I think I heard you say. How many people get a chance to jump on a talk show? We in Cayman as Caymanians sometimes don't take the opportunity to that's available to us. We don't even recognize the opportunity sometimes that's available to us, from accessing the media to participating in some sporting competition to exhibiting as an artist in our national gallery. And it isn't just that I want to talk about the sort of the big fish in a small pond notion, but the fact that it's here and we don't see it. Now, those who have had either through work or they just live in other places see what is there.
Of course, yeah.
The business opportunities, the educational opportunities, the challenge. I say it this way.
And the access to it.
And the access.
It's the access. That's what you don't find in larger jurisdictions. It's not as readily available.
Yeah. All right. As an example, and a friend of mine, and this is why I think one of the other reasons why it's so wonderful to live here. As a caller has been sharing, we've got 140, 150 different nationalities. I really don't know what the number is, but I know it's more than one. We have a chance to meet, interact, and become friends, genuine friends with people from all walks of life, from all parts of the world, learn their language, their dialect, learn their food, their habits, their customs, and you get a chance to learn, right? So
that if you live in other jurisdictions, you have to pay to do that. That's something you have to pay. You have to either go to a higher level education and take cultural courses or geographical courses or do study abroads.
Yep.
And that access to intellectual wealth is...
Yeah. And we have that here.
Direct access.
Right. Immediately,
Absolutely.
right? And he shared with me, So I'm going to make it as easy as I can to paint a picture. Some of us are better storytellers than others. I don't think I'm a good storyteller. But let's say we live in a population, just for round numbers, of 100,000. But he lives in a population of 100 million. So big difference, right? Or maybe it's 50 million, or maybe it's approaching 500 million, whatever the number is, right? And let's say that you want to volunteer. Now, it's going to cost you to be a part of this thing, but you're going to volunteer. And they're looking for 1 or maybe 10 volunteers. But you're applying and you're one of maybe 1,000 or 10,000 applicants. And it's not a prestigious undertaking that you're being sort of commissioned. You just getting a chance to volunteer for your local, animal shelter or your local Red Cross or whatever the thing is, right? In the Cayman context, when you translate that, you can't find volunteers, or you can't find enough volunteers to do this thing. But if you're in another jurisdiction, you're competing just to volunteer to get community service for your college education or for your high school education, right? And the reason why I share that is that in our context, even something like volunteering, we don't see that in other places, how difficult it is to get that requirement. Go back to an internship, a job, a scholarship.
An internship is something you have to apply for, interview for, and literally compete for in the same way that you would any career opportunity.
Right.
Is. Yeah.
So, and I'll ask about other things, because when we're looking at the Cayman context, I don't think, again, with the greatest respect to Caymanians specifically, are we valuing, are we seeing, are we ensuring that as Caymanians, that we're now the internship, the volunteering position, the whatever it is, that we see that relative to what if I was living in whatever other country is, that may not be available, right? If it's available, I may have to compete for this thing. You're not paying for it, and you're not being paid to do it. You're going to have, and yet for some reason here is it apathy? Is it what is it?
Well, it's it's the Disney World concept, right? If you have Disney, if you live right next door to Disneyland, you don't tend to go to Disneyland.
Okay.
If you have access to things, unfortunately, that our general nature is we don't tend to tap into that access. So you talk about the size of the community. If you play buy into any raffle, your chances of winning that raffle are phenomenally higher than they would be in any other jurisdiction.
Statistically,
you have a much higher chance of winning. Every time you go to a walk-around race, you are almost likely guaranteed to walk out with a certificate of some kind. There's the access to education. You probably won't find a bigger critic a lot of times on education as a whole than myself, but you have access to a higher quality of education.
Yeah.
In many respects than you would in other jurisdictions. You have access to, and I'm not saying that there are a lot of privileges there that a lot of people tend to gripe first and then appreciate much later on down the road. But that access and that appreciation for that access, I remember when I used to run Kings back in the day. We used to run our travel team programs and take teams from Cayman to play overseas. There was always this natural fear that we were not going to do as well, that we were going into the bigger jurisdiction. Oh my goodness. When the reality was, the quality of the programs that we played in here were better than the programs we played in there. Talking to junior achievement kids who had gone to international conferences, and they thought that, I come from the smaller jurisdiction of Cayman, so I'm not going to be able to excel as well at these conferences, when in actuality, they went to these conferences and were head over heels above everyone else in their understanding of the world, their business sense, their common sense, their access, and it's because of that culture element you brought up before.
Yeah.
Those elements, because people that come to Cayman tend to come from an environment where they have to work hard. Education was a priority a lot of times. You don't tend to, Cayman has a high caliber of intellectual wealth from around the world concentrated in one little tiny spot.
Okay, so you share that people that come to Cayman from these places come with that.
Either you come with one, generally immigrant standard is, as Les Brown said, or Grant Cardone said, that it doesn't take money to make money. It takes courage to make money. That's why immigrants go places and do so well, because they have the courage to pick up and leave places.
Okay.
So a lot of times that fear factor, which is very common to everybody, has been overcome already by an individual.
So they're motivated.
Work ethic. They're motivated. Their work ethic.
What about the Caymanian then?
Sure.
Take the person who was born here to a person who was born here.
Sure.
Who was born to a person who was born here. So that Caymanian, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Is that level of ethos in that person as well, relative to the person who's come here, the immigrant, in your mind?
It is, especially when they go off to go to school, because they encounter for the first time that vacant land in front of them, that's a massive canvas. You know what I mean? So absolutely, they encounter it right away, and you see it in. That's why I'm a big advocate for sports. If you play sports, anything that challenges you will force you to
And this
grow,
is why
right?
I appreciate you accepting the invitation, why I enjoy chatting with you, because I think it starts to get us into a dialogue, and hopefully it's only Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
But as we look towards what's going to be transpiring in the coming weeks, not just Christmas, not just a referendum, but the idea that at some point the new year is going to be coming in, and we can start be thinking about, I call them revolutions, people say resolutions, but are we going to be doing something that's transformative In your comments, then, if I may,
Please, yeah.
Within the psyche of our people, that we're not seemingly appreciative of what is available. Go back to that. Not
At times,
recognizing, not capitalizing on it.
Capitalizing is the word you
right?
would use there, yes.
Not capitalizing on it. Is it then that somehow in the process, from the home, in the schools, within the coaching realm of whatever sport,
sure.
are we, even in the media? Because I think back to a most unfortunate editorial of the Compass way back when they said we should never expect to be a world champion, Olympics, football, whatever, because the population is too small. I thought that was just...
That's nonsense.
Yeah.
Absolute nonsense.
Yeah. And I
there's so much potential. Having coached kids and came out, I've seen the level of potential. Whether it's for sports, whether it's in music, whether it's in art, there is so much natural talent. Whether it's being harnessed effectively is a different story altogether.
So with that then, is it then that in all of those spheres, are we somehow, either unconsciously or deliberately, communicating to our people, so the parent to the child, the teacher to the that, don't worry, you're not going to be as good, you're not expected to be as good because you're from this small place. To your example, when we go overseas to compete, whether it's academic competitions with the GA or whether it's sports or the like, we not only hold our own, but we're head and shoulders above, right? We've seen that.
Yeah.
Once we're prepared. Could it be then that somehow we're sending that message, whether it's deliberate or I say just unconsciously, to our people that, you don't have to worry about it? Could that be potential of what's happening?
Could be. Well, it's potentially, yeah. I think everything's situation is going to be different. But, there's that, how accurate the stat is, I don't know. But if you take a shark and you put it in a shark tank, it'll only grow to about 8 inches in length. You put it out in the ocean, and it will only ever grow to the size of the box that it believes it lives in, or that it lives in. Right? The benefit of being human is that we have an imagination which is unparalleled to any other species. And so your box is only limited by what you believe. And if you believe in only that you live in a small box and you can only excel to that box, that's the extent that you'll ever grow as an individual. And there's got to be a personal accountability. We can always look at parents. We can always look at teachers. We can always look at the government. We can always look at all of the societal factors that kick in. Mm-hmm. But when it's all said and done, if you're an adult and you're listening to this show right now, personal accountability is where it ultimately will fall.
I must thank you because Miss Susan reminded me to take a break, but she's not cracking the whip because she is almost militant. But okay, we're gonna take a break. We have to take a break.
Absolutely.
Come back a few extra minutes of your time. Thanks for taking a break from your day.
Don't mind. It's fine.
All right, and then we'll talk some more, and then we'll go to our news break, and then we have another segment. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
The referendum for the cruise berthing and cargo facility is on the 19th of December. Do you know a registered voter currently living off island who won't be here for the referendum? They can still cast their vote by postal ballot. The deadline for postal ballot applications is 7th December. For more information about how to apply, visit www.elections.ky and get set to vote.
Depending on the severity of a storm, it is possible that your home's plumbing or septic tank could be damaged. Hazard Management Cayman Islands recommends using a garbage bag to line at least 2 5-gallon containers with tight-fitting covers to use as a temporary toilet. Be sure to include personal sanitation supplies in your emergency kit, such as moist towelettes, feminine hygiene products, garbage bags, and rubber gloves. For more useful hurricane preparedness tips, visit the Water Authority's website at www.waterauthority.ky or follow us on social media.
From happy beginnings to happy ever after.
BritK protects your lifestyle with the best insurance cover at the best possible price.
Health insurance with far-reaching benefits.
95% of claims settled in 5 days.
Low-cost life insurance.
And investments.
Security in retirement.
With a custodian pension plan.
For happy beginnings and a happy ever after.
Visit BritK.ky or call 949-8699.
BritK, where people come first.
You better work. The Cayman Aids Foundation would like to invite you to our third annual Dinner, Drinks, and Drag fundraiser being held at the Marriott Hotel. Doors open at 6 p.m. Welcome drinks between 6 to 7. Show starts at 7 o'clock. Please remember to book your tickets early as tickets are running out. You can purchase your tickets by going on our website, which is www.caf, that's C for cat, A for apple, F for frank.ky. It's a night not to be missed. Our headliner for this year is none other than Miss Chi-Chi Devane from Season 8 of the RuPaul Drag Race. So don't miss out on a great night of fun. Silver tickets are $150, gold tickets are $300, platinum tickets are $500. You can also purchase a single table. Please come out, enjoy yourself. It's all about a night of fun, games, laughter, and everyone enjoying themselves. You can go on our website, which is www.c for cat, A for apple, F for frank.ky to make your purchase.
I have one thing to say. You better work.
Traffic congestion is bad for your mental health, bad for your wallet, and bad for the environment. Alternative commuting habits are the solution. Cycling, walking, busing, or carpooling will help save you money, benefit your health, conserve energy, and help the environment. Do your part. Visit the ministry Facebook page for details of plans for bicycle lanes, the latest bus schedules, and be an energy advocate.
Did you know that CPR Cayman is now a registered non-profit organization? The government is spending a lot of money on their campaign, so we need your help to get the word out to as many people as we can. You can make a donation via our website cprcayman.com or call us at 938-5876. This is our first people's initiated referendum for a decision that will affect everyone's future. It's your vote, your future. So make a decision based on fact. You deserve the whole truth.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. And sort of like an open line, but more, I think, enjoyable in a sense. In there, I could engage the brain of Raymond Singh.
The brain of Raymond.
Hey, that could be our new segment. You know, picking
very dark territory.
Hey, listen, you know, there could be worse things.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
But I appreciate it, and I'll repeat to you because you've sat here, and thank you so much for hosting for me. Miss Susan can talk back to us, right?
Yep.
So when I first heard voices, I'm thinking that's not good. I should go to the doctor. So she says, I should spin the coin and make you interview me. But no, it don't work that way.
You know, I think our listeners would like that. I'm going to be very honest. I think Miss Susan's right. I think our listeners, and if you disagree with that, if you're a listener out there, you disagree with me interviewing Dwayne, by all means, please give us a call. Let us know why that would be bothersome. However, if you agree with that, just don't call right now. And we'll take that as a yes.
Oh, no. So you think I should put myself out there?
I think you should be in the hot seat. Everybody has to be in Dwayne's hot seat, right? Like Dwayne has to. You know, there's a sense of power in that seat right there, right?
It's just a seat, man.
I think we'd like to, you know, you get to ask the questions. Whoever asks the questions has
like
to...
Rothschild, who controls the purse strings, call the shots?
Well, that's the truth, right? Like, we don't care who makes the law as long as we control the currency, right?
That's what they say. You know what? One day maybe, but I always pray that I'm not only wise and knowledgeable, but I have a great sense of humility and respect.
You do.
And if I can continue to walk in that path, then I think I do, you know, justice to my parents' instruction advice. But our society is such that there are seemingly not enough Daniels, seemingly not enough people who are willing to say the right thing, say it at the right time, respectfully, because we're pandering and proclaiming. We beat up on the politicians sometimes.
Yeah.
But are we justified at that time? Maybe we are, but are we doing it appropriately? And are we doing it that it is... We're going all in, you know, we just skirting the issue before I get distracted and sort of consumed with that, because that's a good place to be sometimes, you know, talking to political. Let me ask.
Let
me go back to our discussion just then, because I think that was very, for me, you know, very enlightening in that we look at the Caymanian in Cayman and recognizing that when the Caymanian goes out to university, the Caymanian blossoms. There's a world that's opened up and they see things. Yeah. But in Cayman, do you think then, as I was asking the question, not just from your perspective and your response, but hopefully us as a people start to think about it, and I'm serious about this, you know, the idea that consciously or unconsciously, we're somehow sending a message, and probably reinforced through our media, that as a Caymanian, you don't expect to achieve anything, don't expect to be anything good relative to populations that have 1 million or 100 million or whatever, because you only got a few of you to pick from, right? I disagree, and I think we're on the same page.
Yeah, I do.
With that in mind, and two things. This word of entitlement, and I find it to be so misplaced and misused. But if we continue to use it the way it is and apply it the way we have, are we now further entrenching that idea and maybe pushing Caymanians further and further back on the burner? And so eventually they'll be off the stove and perhaps not even in the kitchen, if they think that being entitled is somehow a bad thing, in a sense. I want to ask a different way, but I don't want to lead you too much.
Well, the entitlement thing is because we hear that. I've heard that comment a lot, and I don't think it's a fair one.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's times when it's definitely been applicable. But the tricky part about the entitlement one is that rarely, and I mean this with no offense to anybody out there, but rarely will I meet someone under the age of 30. Doesn't matter where they're from, whether they're from Cayman or not, who does not feel entitled. And there's a difference. I'm not going to isolate it to a Caymanian audience.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a generational audience, and I think when you look around, and I've worked with, spoke with, and interacted on a regular basis with those who are under the age of 30, and you notice immediately the hard workers and the ones who don't feel entitled, because the work ethic is clear as day in front of them, and they stand out like a sore thumb amongst the rest of their peers.
Right.
Whether you want to allocate it to social media, whether you want to allocate it to broken families, whatever you want to put the blame on, doesn't change that there is a generational situation where we have that entitlement among the younger generation.
But to go back to our earlier discussion, then, that you are in a population of 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, whatever it is, right? And that thing that you volunteer in, that you want to volunteer, you have to apply and be approved.
Sure.
You need this volunteer community service for your high school, for your university, but you're competing. Back in the Cayman context, right? You have all these opportunities and not enough people, whether it's volunteering, whether it's internship or other things, scholarships. When we look at that and we compare it to the other jurisdiction in the former example, we can see a stark contrast.
Huge.
So I come back to the notion of entitlement. Is it then that in the Cayman context, we're not only failing to tell the society that, you need to, this is available to you. Worse, are we somehow sending mixed messages, celebrating and showcasing other people, and maybe deliberately putting other people on the back burner? While you contemplate that, let me throw one more at you, right?
Yeah.
Or national teams, or students, or professional associations, or delegates, for want of a better term, who leave Cayman to attend a business conference, who leave Cayman to participate in some event. Are we at risk that the message that they're sharing, the narrative and the hymn sheet that we're speaking from, are all conflicted and confused, and it's not the same thing? All right, Miss Susan says, hold on, thought. See who's boss? We're going to pause and take a break. Is anybody waiting for us, Miss Susan? Nobody's waiting? Anybody got chocolate? Nothing? All right, you have more time, Mr. Ray, or you have to go?
I do.
All right, well.
For you, I do. For our listeners, I do. Let me clarify that.
Be
for
clear.
Our listeners.
For this, okay. So that was the question on the table. We can get a response.
Sure.
And for those who are listening, hey, weigh in. We think the phone lines are working. We're not talking about port referendum, so they might be. Nah, just kidding. We'll pause and take a break. When we come back, more talk today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have, on island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news. Access to information.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. John Gray High School Principal John Clark says he is pleased with the way staff, students, security, and first responders handled this morning's incident after smoke was reported under the stairs leading up to a modular classroom at the school campus. The smoke was spotted around 7:55 this morning. Students were evacuated and staff put out the fire. No injuries were reported, and school resumed at 10 this morning. In international news, Jimmy Johnson is the latest NASCAR superstar to retire with a 7-time three-time champion announcing today that 2020 will be his final season of full-time racing. The winningest driver of his era will have a 19th season in the number 48 Chevrolet and once again chase a record 8th championship. Johnson made his announcement in a video on social media. CNN is reporting Prince Andrew is stepping back from public duties after his much-criticized interview about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender who killed himself in custody. A statement from the Duke of York said it had become increasingly clear to him over the past few days that the circumstances relating to his former association with Epstein had become a major disruption to his family's work and the valuable work going on in many charities and organizations he is proud to support. He said he asked Her Majesty if he might step back from public duties for the foreseeable future, and she has given her permission. Those are your headlines. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm April Cummings.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today as we invite you to call and share your thoughts. Our colleague, one of our diligent, very esteemed members of our sales department here at Radio Cayman, Mr. Raymond Singh, sits with us, man. And he always takes, I hope that when you sit here with me that you don't get too much flack. Whereas you could be taking a lunch, you decide to share time with us. So thanks very much, man.
The ways that I'm able to get away with that a little bit is I take these sliver of opportunities to say stuff like, don't forget our Blackberries Fusion Run is next Saturday, November 30th.
Well,
and because I take advantage of those opportunities, I'm able to sell it and massage it over a lot better.
No, listen, we're promoting, and this is good cross-training as well. I get a chance
absolutely.
to learn your techniques of sales and closing and the like, and we get to cross-promote. So it's
interesting because I do the same. I use tactics that I've learned from being on the show with you or being in your seat in how I engage with clients on the sales side.
Easy,
which is great.
Just be honest and open, accommodating, respectful. And
it's amazing how just asking questions gets information and listening. It's a skill that, again, we can go back to the school system, but it's a skill that listening is one of those. You think it's hardwired in us, but it's not.
No.
Talking is hardwired in us, not listening.
For most of us, talking is. For me, I never saw myself as being willing to talk.
Yeah.
In a sense, I was very, I don't want to say quiet. I still say reserved.
Introverted?
I think I would be.
Okay.
I think if, and there were, at some point in time, depending on the job you're doing, the assignment you're on, you have to do I guess the best way to call it would be a personality profile. And they will always come up with the I. But I also learned that there's a way to adapt to make sure that, if you're going to make a presentation to a group of people, you can't go up there and be mute. You got to speak.
And if you listen to any of the motivational speakers or any of the guys from Shark Tank or any of the big, the ones who have made it, so to speak, in the business world, and they'll say sales is, no matter what job you're in, doesn't matter if you're in construction, no matter what job you're in, at some element of your job, you will need to apply salesmanship.
Yeah.
Salespersonship.
Yeah, I find that challenging, but I found a way around it, and it's easy because I don't have to remember it. I just say what I think is the truth, and then if I repeat that each time, I don't have to worry about what I said the time before.
That's true, absolute truth.
And maybe something that we could do for a I'm going to have fun today. I was asking the question earlier,
sure,
all right, with respect. Do you need me to repeat it, or are we, for our listeners, it was like...
For our listeners, beneficial.
The idea of when our people, whether it's the business professional as a delegate, whether it's even official government, quasi-government, or students, or athletes, those off to academic competitions, when they leave the shores, are we singing from the same hymn sheet?
It's an interesting one because I can only speak off my observations, my experiences. I don't like speaking off a hearsay of what someone else has said. I don't mind living life through their experiences. It's good to understand what they've experienced. But I can't quote from that experience.
Right.
I can only quote from what I've seen, what I've witnessed, and what I've whether those I've mentored, those I've worked with, and the programs that I've seen come out. And when we see programs like the Passport Success programs, we see the empowerment programs, and we see all the various programs that are geared towards children that do have meaningful impact on lives, junior achievement. These are all programs that are geared towards Camangan youth. They're not geared toward any other cultures. Children, they're geared towards.
I would even emphasize that. Geared towards youth in Cayman.
Youth in Cayman.
Yeah, because it's not just the Caymanians that are there.
Correct.
Okay. Right.
So when we talk about all of these programs that exist, if children are offered the opportunity to take advantage of those opportunities, I don't think that script is that they're going to be held back. I think the script is that the world is their oyster. We see on a regular basis, the reality is that the world really does operate in many ways like a pyramid, right?
Okay.
And we'll see not everyone makes it to the top of that pyramid.
Fair enough. But specifically, then when we are, I don't want to use the word selling, nor do I want to use the word showcasing, but when we're out and about and we're talking about Cayman, and if we're part of a national team, are we wearing the same colors, the same uniform, irrespective of the sport? When the people...
Well, I mean, I think it's not as...
uniform as possible?
It's not as uniform as you probably would have liked. The reality is that the programs don't operate under a national system. And that is where the...
So that maybe the question is, should it? Right?
Well, I think it should. I think in international sport, I remember back in the day, and I got in trouble for this because I was relatively new when I had done it. But I'd only been a few years on the island, and I started the national team, and I created our jerseys using the national symbols. Then asked for permission after the fact, not knowing that I had to ask before. Someone said, "Hey, did you actually get permission to use this?" And I went to government and went through the procedures and protocols, and we did it. I just, in my head, did not think that there would have been a concern with using symbols for a youth national squad who was representing Cayman at an international event.
So with that, so the sort of standardization of it, maybe somebody needs to address the way the people who represent us are expected to behave. Right?
How do you,
because they become, there are diplomats, there are ambassadors, there are...
But that's anybody who leaves your shores, whether they're representing on a political front, on a economic front, on a sporting front.
Right.
Managing behaviors becomes a very difficult...
Think of it from a company's perspective. Right? The company spent money on branding, advertising. They want its message, its logo, its image to be the same across all platforms, all markets and the like. And I keep asking, are we conscious in Cayman that we're not doing that? Is this something that we should be doing? Well,
I know there's branding strategies that I know the government has been discussing with the new marketing team that they have within place, that branding strategy is becoming more streamlined going forward. I know that I've seen the government involved in the conversations, just on the topical level, that those were coming. So I think that is something that's going to be coming down the pipeline at some point. I think we're in the day and age where that is a necessity, especially for a jurisdiction that has such an international profile as Cayman. You definitely need to have that.
Yeah, I remember in the early 90s we talked about Cayman Inc. and there were a few of us talking about the branding and the like, and maybe we were a little bit too innovative, maybe we were not communicating effectively and the like. But we're now 25, 30 years on from that discussion. Where are the advances? You look at the Canadian sports teams or American sports teams or any of the other big countries. No matter what the sport, you'll be able to recognize the country that's been...
Correct,
right?
There's a different... like the rugby team will leave Cayman doing one thing, the hockey teams will leave Cayman doing another thing, the football teams leave Cayman doing their thing. Nothing's ever done with malice, but there is an absence of maybe a little bit of cohesiveness on that part. And I don't think that's a difficult thing to fix, though.
Not necessarily for you. And a bit then I see Mr. James Miles. That's another guy that has a whole lot on his plate. So he is going to join us in a bit talking about the nomination process for the Proud of Them.
Sure.
Not necessarily a question for you to answer right now. Please feel free. Certainly not intended to put you in a spot, but for us as a people, all right? The question is, the people who represent us, when they're representing us, as I asked, the expectation of their behavior, but sometimes you look at them and they'll be obviously through their jersey, their personal attire, sporting. It is almost under the country's name. It's almost like, excuse me. It's almost like if you were advertising for product brand company A, and you were wearing a jersey of company B. But while you're talking to the interviewer, the announcer about your thing, and you're obviously the spokesman for this company, but you're wearing the jersey of another. You see what I mean?
I mean, like if I was, I tend to be a bit hesitant on knocking politicians, not because they're politicians, but because they're in front of a firing squad on a daily basis.
Sometimes, yeah.
At the end of the day, if there's 60,000 people in Cayman, there's 60,000 people who are angry at some politician. That's just the nature of politics. So they tend to be in the fire line anyways. As far as sporting, if they were supporting France in the World Cup, I would be hesitant to criticize anyone who was supporting a World Cup team. I think World Cup or any kind of sporting press. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, I feel sorry for you, but whatever it might be, that's just the nature of sports. I think and especially if you go to Carifta, you'll see. One thing I love about being at Carifta is everyone who was there was supporting Cayman, but they were supporting those athletes who represented cousin or sister-like jurisdictions throughout the region. Politicians alike as well were sitting there cheering on the Bahamian athletes. Our athletes were no longer in the competition, so they were cheering on a Bahamian athlete. I don't think there's anything wrong with that level of sportsmanship.
No. That aside, I was just thinking that, and I know the question was one where you're trying not to answer it directly, but it comes back to a people embracing this culture.
And I think our politicians do.
Yeah, but if put them aside for a second, right? Yeah. Us as a society, where we either have now come to the land and this is our adopted home, are we now fully invested in this adopted home? We who brag and sometimes very affectionately say, I go back X generations. Are we still demonstrating that this is now the only flag to which we've sworn allegiance? Right. So when we are talking about Cayman, it's in a positive, very supportive, with a level of national pride and respect. When we're competing, we're leaving it all on the field because we're giving it all for country and flag. And I wonder sometimes to what extent,
It's a very fair question.
And that is perhaps a lack of the cohesiveness that may exist in our society. Two, potentially the lack of a defined narrative as to what the country's vision, its ethos, its sort of script for that branding should reflect, and how that's going to resonate in our society.
It's an interesting game because you talk about that political spectrum of left wing to right wing, from nationalism to multiculturalism. The reality is the coin is going to be spread across society, and you're going to have those who are strongly firm believe that nationalism is the way to go. On the other side, you're going to have those who believe that gay marriage is something that should happen. And you're going to find across that spectrum. I'm not saying either one of those are right. I'm just saying you're going to find that across the cross-section of Cayman. Is any one of them wrong? That's for everyone to decide for themselves. All
right. Well, I believe these sorts of discussions could,
I like these.
Allow us to start to think and to talk. I hope at the end of the day that, if nothing else, just out of respect for self and for others, we'll be able to be amenable. We'll be able to have differences of opinion, but we'll also be able to find common ground so that we walk about in our communities. There are those of us who will be standing in a line behind someone who's fumbling for 50 cents or $2, and who'll become frustrated and want to cut the line and say, "Well, you get that, let me just go pay. I'm quick." And then there'll be those who say, "No problem, man. Let me just pay this for you now and then." Not to get them on their way faster, but to be of value. The question is, where are we in that equation? Are we the one that is helpful, or are we the one to mow them down? And when that comes into the society, that this is still a small developing space, with all the press on us, international and local, all the pressures on us as individuals and as a collective. Where are we in making it safer, better? We're celebrating Universal Children's Day. What message or messages are they mixed and confusing, Are they consistent
so.
and encouraging? And if we think it's hard now, wait until 30 years from now. It's the thing. Always a pleasure.
That's a whole other conversation. But yes, thank you as always. And but happy belated International Men's Day. I'm sorry I couldn't make it onto the show yesterday. And
yeah, man.
It was a fun one. And I'm glad someone actually touched on International Men's Day. From my understanding, we were the only media house in all of Cayman who actually dedicated any time yesterday towards that cause. So I give you a lot of credit for that.
Thanks, man. I think I've been doing that now. But, with the help of our respective government agencies. And we got to celebrate the people. But thank you for let's delve into the brain of Ray.
And just so that I don't get in trouble, don't forget BRAC Breeze Fusion. Next Saturday, we'll be in the BRAC for our BRAC event. And we look forward to seeing you all then. Thank you.
Have a safe time, a safe flight over. Let's pause and take a break. And when we come back, another wonderful Sons of the Soil, James Jambo Miles, will sit with us for a few minutes. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Ambitious, determined, beautiful, and unapologetically uncompromising. You have set the bar high. Now let High Fashion and Design Studio take you to the next level. Full service hair and nail salon carrying the top designer brands. Calvin Klein, 9 West. Shoes, clothing, accessories, quality dressmaking, tailoring, and custom design. High Fashion and Design Studio, located in Cayman Trade Center, 199 Eastern Avenue, across from Bananas Restaurant. Call 945-4415 to book your high fashion and design experience today. Be bold, be true, be you.
The record. For the record, a fresh approach for information that matters to you, the people. Hear from the government, the opposition, independents, and other experts on issues and solutions that affect you. For the record. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, tune into 89.9 and 93.9 FM.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. And Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates.
The Cayman Islands National Museum invites you to join them for their 29th anniversary and Christmas Bazaar celebrations, Saturday 23rd November from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. at the National Museum on the waterfront. Come join in on their festivities, visit their talented traditional artisans and vendors, check out new enhancements to the Cayman Airways exhibition, and get your early Christmas shopping done. Admission is free for all. Enjoy a day of wholesome family celebrations at the Cayman Islands National Museum, Saturday, November 23rd.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And if he doesn't mind me saying, James Jambo Miles, I don't believe there are enough of us who, make the time. And I'm not sure that necessarily says find the time, because the time is there. Who make the time to be as invested in our young people in particular. As we celebrate Universal Children's Day and talk specifically about the Proud of Them nomination process. It's very fitting, very timely. But you have, in my mind, been one of those Daniels, as it were, and championing our young people, providing a nurturing, safe environment.
Daniel prophecies are always very scary in us.
You think so?
Yeah, man. What? They will write up the next Revelations when you scare you. You be careful.
But the thing is, right, and I'm probably more so than some. When I say something, it may rub people sometimes the wrong way. And I can't console myself with, oh, yeah, the truth will set you free, or straight talk bring no fallout, because that's probably one of the times that you get in trouble when you say things straight up.
But the true value of sandpaper is when you use it on the rough edges. So
I like that. But and I want to say that to share that in a very small community as ours, not saying that in any way other than the most utmost respect, small in that you can measure it in terms of acres. I mean, there are people who have more land than we have here in Cayman. You know, they own a cattle ranch with more acreage than we have.
Right.
There are people who work for companies who have employees with more people than we have in Cayman as a resident population, right? But even though we're so small, the expectations of the government services of our people in relation to access to certain things, it could be 1 billion people. We still have the same demands and expectations, and sometimes, wait a minute, what do you mean we don't have that? You know, you've got 5,000 selection of cheeses, you don't have this one that I want? Yeah, but I have 5,000. Right?
How dare you not have it?
Yeah, I mean, isn't that how it is, right?
Yeah, not how it is.
And I say that this to ask ourselves, you know, while we're pointing fingers and being critical, are we being constructive, productive, and respectful? Because if we can raise the bar each time, wow, isn't it better?
Well, it should be. It should make us a better society. It should make us a stronger and more resilient society. But sometimes people just soft, like I say.
Okay.
Because, you can't take a comment. Then chances are you can either get bitter or get better, and I hope you get better. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man.
Well, like I said, it's between bitter and better is one of the letter, but that letter is important because it's I. Yes. And if you take I out of it and make it a we, you get the E. You know what I'm saying? And this is where I think it's not that you're trying to be blind to the things that are happening, or that you're so optimistic and positive that you don't see the reality. But if you got a Band-Aid on something, and at some point you don't take it off and treat it, it's going to fester. It's going to become a problem, right?
Right.
Now you can rip it off. That may be the best way. It may not be. But you got to take it off. You got to reveal that thing that is there so you can tend to it, right?
Yeah.
But some of us just want to bury our heads in the sand and don't worry, man. I don't know. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. I'm glad that we're able to, through some of the public processes that we have, celebrate and showcase, but invite and involve the public, that if little Johnny or little Susie isn't getting recognition, isn't being celebrated and promoted, isn't, surrounded by people who are going to advocate for him or her, that's us.
Yes.
Right? Because sometimes little Johnny and little Susie, well, they're intimidated by all this stuff. They're so busy with all other stuff. Right?
And some of the young people that we actually see and proud of them, they're just busy doing what they do, and not knowing that a lot of people see what they do and are aware of what they're doing and the positive impact they have on their community, which is great for those that just go about doing it anyhow. But what it also does is for those that might not be fully engaged, when they see their friend from school, they say, well, I be doing that too. Or I be there right next to him or her doing it, so how come I not get recognized? And then they can start to aspire to say, well, I only do about 20 hours, so I can now do about 40.
Yeah. What's they say, a rising tide floats all ships, right?
Yeah.
And as I listen to you, I think sometimes in our people, and maybe it's the ones that I interact with, I think it's humility. I think it's a bit of sense that they're shy. I think it's partly because for some reason, when we're being raised and reared, whether at home or in the classroom, we're told, don't be a blowhard, don't be braggadocious, you don't want to be this, you want to be that. When we say to them, hey, I want to nominate you for this, I think you should do this, we step back because we don't want to publicity. We feel insecure. We feel sometimes undeserving. But as you shared, if we get, one of the classmates nominated on a billboard, that may be a little bit intimidating at first, but it will also inspire, the next one to say, hey, I can do this too.
And it also gives them a chance to change their life.
Mm-hmm.
Because they plodding along and they're doing what they do, and they get the satisfaction out of it. And then they say, well, wow, now I know that my uncle is proud of me. I know that my teacher is proud of me. All because they actually fill out this form to say that they're proud of them. And that in itself helps the young people with a stronger sense of belonging. You know, they feel that they not only feel recognized but valued. And I think that is very important in the lives of young people.
So
anybody really, but especially young people who are trying to find their own way and find their own identity as their bodies change and as the roles and expectations of them change from child to teen to adult.
Well, we see the physical changes in them. The young man is becoming more muscular and athletic. Maybe he's putting on more weight because of whatever. Things are happening. I mean, facial hair. I just talk about the young man in particular, right? We know that. We know that because maybe we were in class that day that that was being taught. Maybe our parents spoke to us. Maybe we just remember it because we went through it, right? Susan Paul tell us some are still waiting to go through puberty. But sorry. But that's the obvious physical, very evident change. But the mental, the emotional, the social, the other things that
is just as radical.
Yeah. Right. All of a sudden, and I think being able to nurture them, to encourage them, to let them feel that there is this great sense of love. I mean, I don't know too many people who don't want to feel welcome, accepted, loved, safe. This is a good process. But the deadline isn't that far from now, right?
Nope, it's just hours away. It's
hours
midnight
away?
tonight.
Wow.
Is the deadline. I know a lot of people could be up. When I left the office, it was at 51. But I'm pretty sure we probably get close to 90 or 100.
Okay, there are a couple of areas, 6, I think,
Yes.
that we can nominate. The age now is 10
To 25.
Right. So tell us about the areas and the process.
Okay, we're looking for young people that are outstanding in academics, career, business, sports, culture, or community service. Those that have excelled in demonstrating these areas, exceptional attainment in terms of from a learning institution for academics, excel in achieving exceptional attainment in any chosen career, their chosen career path, demonstrate entrepreneurship in terms of business, excellent attainment in sports, any sport, culture, exceptional attainment in the area of cultural practices. We're actually looking for young people who responsible, hardworking, positive attitude. Their peers look up to them, resourceful. They take initiative. They're responsible for their actions, and they frequently participate in the community. Those that don't let their socioeconomic conditions dictate his or her achievement levels, and for those that are involved and is an inspiration to others.
And as I listen to you, looking at a quick, quick sentiment from one of our listeners who was sharing the perspective that we got so many young people here that we ignore sometimes, or we don't publicly acknowledge at the very least. Now, hours away is the deadline, but the process is relatively simple. It's online.
Yeah, it's online. Proudofthem.com, and you can go on and nominate as often as you want. You have up until midnight. Anything past midnight tonight will be considered for the next round.
All right. And, when we think about it, it's nothing better than being able to say to a young person in particular, your love, and we want to show that. Now, you may get 10,000 applications, but it's for this round, there's a limited number that will be selected.
Yes, each round we select 12. So no matter how much we get, we narrow it down to the highest score in 12 based on a panel of judges. There's a panel of about 7 of us. We average out at 4 judges each sitting. So that process would start on Thursday, because tonight is the deadline. So we start
tomorrow,
evaluating tomorrow.
Right, and then with that, I think I must make sure I'm clear. You nominate someone, that person isn't, one of the recipients this time around. you want to be considered, you got to nominate them again the next time, right? It
Right.
doesn't carry over.
Sometimes we carry over nominations from the last round, those that were close to being in the top 12, maybe the top 15 or 16, and we'll carry some of them over, especially if they only just 1 or 2 points from the 12th place finisher. We'll carry them over because they were strong enough to be in the top 20 or so. So we will take them over. We're not taking over any yet. Just get all the fresh nominations first, and then we'll look and see how much we take over. It'll probably be about 8 or 9 that we take over from the last round. But we try not to bog ourselves down with work. Chances are those that were in carrying over might be nominated again this year. So.
You know, and we have a lot of wonderful young people, but if you think someone needs to be nominated and they're not, it's because you didn't nominate them. And if you nominated them and 5 other people or 50 other people nominated them, hey, so much the better, right?
That's fine, yeah, because the more takes is like pictures in a camera. If you take a picture and I take a picture, just because we wasn't in the same spot, we got 2 different perspectives on this young person, and that is the rich part of anybody can nominate, because the story that I have on John Brown might be different from the story Sterling has on John, and we get a lot more from the number of nominations as well.
They complement, you know, and they help to emphasize. But I think also too, it just shows that the lives that are touched, you know, by young people can be very, very wide and represent a wonderful cross section of our community. We can't expect tomorrow to be good if we didn't invest in it today.
Exactly.
So if that young person is down and beat and feels despondent, what are we going to do, you know, down the road if we haven't done something now?
Yeah, it might be hard to cheer him up tomorrow.
Yep. That's it, man. Jamo, I always appreciate what you shared, and thank you for coming over. You make the time, man.
I think that's important. I think all adults should do the same. Make the time to make sure that the impact that you leave on the world is as big as God created it to be, and you wouldn't know that unless you ask Him. And if you ask God to let you have impact on the world, you'd be surprised the impact that you make.
Some people like to take more than they give, and other people don't take enough. They give.
But I really want to take the time to thank the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports, Agriculture and Lands for continuing this process. While we are doing it only once a year now, I think it'll have a little bit more impact as well. We have some more time to talk to the individuals before we take them off the board. We have one whole year to kind of parade them around so they can be an inspiration to other young people. They can get a lot more involved, and it'll slowly grow the alumni, which is now over 100. And with the next 12, that'll make it close to 150. With 11 rounds or 12. But it is now big enough to have wide-reaching impact. And thankfully, we have not lost any of our Proud of Them honorees, because young and old are passing away. And so I thank God that we have not lost any. And so we still have these 100+ awe-inspiring young people who are still plodding on, doing what they normally do, and being impressive.
Yeah, man. Well, the deadline, as you said, is midnight tonight. So go online and do the nominations.
Yes, proudofthem.com. It's there. Fill it out. If you want to select them for more than one category, you can do so. But online, they'll only ask you for one category, so that means you have to nominate them twice.
Okay, the same person, but you,
right.
Maybe
we had sticking problems with them with the selection for Cayman Brack and Little Cayman too. So since you won't get that selection for the Sister Islands, please put it in your narrative that this person resides in Cayman Brack or resides in Little Cayman. That way we can make sure that we recognize them properly.
All right, man. Well, I look forward to, not just after the nomination process and talking to the nominees, but anything and everything. And I hope as a people that we start to find ways to come together as a country, so that when we walk our streets, as simple as it may sound, we're not looking at litter. Our dogs are muzzled and leashed. There's no poop anywhere. I mean, that might sound simple to people, but those things are significant. We don't need to pass laws to make that just be a natural part of who we are.
Exactly.
But our elderly, we're not only holding the door open for them, but we're helping them. They're not only safe, but they're being, looked after by us.
And valued.
and valued and respected. And think about it. I mean, 50.
We piloted a program in East End Social Harmony Inclusion Project. It was based on a bit of research that we did at the Youth Services Unit, and the ministry is actually funding the pilot of it. And it's wonderful to see older East End, East Enders teaching the younger East Enders how to cook. And this is really nice.
This is what makes this society so, and I use the word deliberate, rich. I don't mean just financial. In fact, that's probably the least of the wealth that I'm talking about financially. But we don't love each other, man. We don't not. Anyway, I leave that for another day.
But we're going to get there.
We're getting there, man.
Yeah.
We're going to get there. John, but I don't want to say final thoughts, but any other thoughts as we close out that you want to share with? Anything you want to remind us?
Just to nominate young persons, because the deadline is tonight at midnight. Don't wait till then to do it, because if you wait till midnight, then it'll be considered in the 2020 nomination, which is around this time in 2020, God willing. So I think you really want to get on it as soon as possible. Get the nominations in. The information and evidence that you want to submit with the nominations can come after the deadline. Just don't let it be too long after the deadline, because we do it in alphabetical order. So if your name is Albert Ebanks, you could get judged pretty early. So, send the documents to support the nominations as soon as you can.
All right. Hey, thanks very much, man. Thanks very much. Proud of them. So please get your nominations in. We'll pause though. Call it that for today's edition of Talk Today, but we invite you to stay tuned and have Miss Susan play your songs as you rest and relax and get prepared for all the things. Tonight, 6:30, Celebration Park. The launch for the CPR takes place. Part of the media. I probably might go out and check it out. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. All right. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, man.
Jasmine invites you this Christmas season to our annual Light Up a Life ceremony. Light Up a Life is our remembrance service that gives you the chance to remember loved ones lost by placing a name star on our Tree of Remembrance, which will shine brightly throughout the holiday season. During the holiday, the loss of loved ones can be felt deeply. So we encourage you to join with us as we celebrate the lives of our loved ones gone but not forgotten. Join us for Light Up a Life on Tuesday, December the 3rd at 5:30 at Jasmine Villa, located behind Coconut Joe's off West Bay Road. You can register on the night, but pre-registration is preferred by calling 945-7447 or email info@jasmine.ky.
Shaken yet standing firm.
I was not built to break.
This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.